Right, guys. So, hi, my name is Jody Testerman. For those of you that don't know me, I've given quite a few talks on, the subject of bipolar disorder and how yoga can change the lives of those living with it. But each one that I do feels better. I'm diving into more research and tying together connections. So this is really about, how people are transforming their lives by understanding neurological differences in the bipolar brain and how adding these yoga principles and philosophies can really impact their brain over time. I'm also going to touch today on the direct and indirect costs of living with unmanaged bipolar disorder because it's truly exorbitant. I wish that there had been, information like this out there when I was diagnosed with bipolar. Needless to say, you're probably in the right place if you've made it here. I know that you probably feel if you've never practiced yoga before, like it's, a bunch of hippy dippy stuff. So I'm really going to unpack some of the science behind this stuff today. And I can tell you without fail that if you employ just one tactic that you learned today for a substantial amount of time, you can truly transform your life. The reason I do this is because these practices saved my life, and understanding the science and the research behind why has been very important to me. So, who's this for? It's women who have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and are looking for additional ways to curb the mania and depression through complementary healing techniques. So, if you've been living your life with bipolar disorder for any amount of time, this is definitely the right place for you. It's for open-minded people who are really ready to stop living in misery of their own thoughts. Emotions, we want to emerge from this as someone who is acting as if they're under control. So, if your path of destruction is clear and you want to stop feeling so crappy, this is definitely for you. So my promise to you, I really want to make two promises to you today. The first is that I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I want to provide good, helpful content with the goal of transforming your life. And my second promise to you is that my teachings will always be in alignment with the path of yoga. So I'm going to give you tools you need to transform your life. So sit back, relax, grab a pen and paper. I'm going to lay it on thick today. So who am I? For those of you that don't know me, I am a 200-hour registered yoga teacher. That means I've had 200 hours of training. I am a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. I also have a couple of degrees. All right. So if you have ever practiced with me, you know that I love quotes, and I'm all about leaning in and owning your story. So what I want the theme to be today is from this Brene Brown quote, right? So you either walk inside your story and you own it, or you stand outside your story and you hustle for your worthiness. Love her, love Brene Brown, her research on shame and vulnerability and its relationship to happiness and joy was a huge part of my initial research and the understanding in the mindset shifts that I've made. So if you don't know her work, I definitely suggest looking her up. Again, Brene Brown, look up her TED Talk on vulnerability. It's absolutely worth the watch. All right, so what are we doing today? So this is going to be your first lesson in yoga today. We're going to be present and we're going to be here and we're going to be in this moment. So clear everything. You've got nowhere else to do and nothing else to be. And this is a really great yoga lesson of living in the moment. So, what we're going to do for the next 20-ish minutes, I don't know, I haven't timed it, is talk about some actual tactics that you can employ today to start changing the way that you process information and start rewiring your brain. There's definitely no Jedi mind tricks here, although they're kind of Jedi mind tricks. Neuroplasty is fascinating, but you have to do the work. You have to put it in and you have to do the hard work. So again, promise to provide helpful information to you. These techniques, I promise if you practice them, they'll definitely help save your sanity in your relationships and maybe even your life. I know it did for me. So what we're going to discuss today, we're going to look at the bipolar brain, the cost of living with bipolar, yoga tactics you can employ immediately, how to build a routine, how to manage your stress more effectively, and then how to feel more grounded and in control. So let's look at the bipolar brain. So there's a couple things here that I want to point out. First is that the bipolar brain has a smaller amount of gray matter in the prefrontal cortex. That portion of the brain is responsible for controlling movement, memory, and emotion. So the more gray matter you have, the better you respond in emotional situations. The less gray matter you have, the worse you respond in emotional situations. Here's the other cool thing, and what this figure really illustrates, and you'll see as you go from top left to right bottom, what this is illustrating is how gray matter in the brain is depleted with more manic and depressive episodes. So this has been studied, it's been researched, and it is proven that the more times you're going in and out of mania, you're decreasing the gray matter in your brain, which is only making your emotional outbursts worse. So why does it matter? Because this is the foundation for understanding the healing power of meditation and the yoga philosophy that I teach. Manic mood swings and depressive episodes, they destroy the gray matter in the brain. It is scientifically proven that long-term practice of meditation is associated with these significant brain matter changes. Also, reducing that instance of the fight or flight scenario allows your body to heal itself from the inside out. So now let's talk about some of the costs of living with bipolar. I think that we all know that this is a life sentence and it's something that we have to manage, right? We can't cure it. It doesn't go away. Some of these facts and figures were just staggering to me as I, began to do this research. So I wanted to pass those along to you. So $11,720 cost associated with just one hospital stay caused by a manic episode. That's a lot, right? And imagine that sometimes we are in the hospital 2, 3, 4 times a year. Imagine spending $40,000 on your illness because you aren't managing it properly. That's a lot of money. 49 and a half days are the average number of days that workers miss due to illness. So, take whatever your daily pay rate is and multiply it by this and, figure out how much income you're losing once you're out of PTO or sick time. Based on having to be out of work due to your illness. 56% of bipolar patients struggle with a substance abuse problem, typically drugs and alcohol. But if you add that into what you're spending, on the monthly because you're bipolar, you can see that it just keeps stacking up and up and up. Additionally, bipolar disorder is the third most common cause of all hospitalizations. All right, so now we're going to talk about what is yoga. A little bit of breath, a little bit of love. Absolutely one of my favorite topics to talk about. So again, I'm glad you're here. I love this stuff. It's absolutely fascinating to me. But I don't like to make any assumptions here that people know what yoga means because I think that every word means something different to everyone. So the way I like to think about yoga is that it's where your mind meets your body to change your life. The word is derived from Sanskrit, which is an ancient language. The root word yuj, meaning to join, to yoke, or to unite. So the practice of yoga is really about uniting the body, the mind, and the soul. And yoga in its fullest form, it combines physical postures, breathing exercises, meditation, and a distinct philosophy. So just as important as it is for me to talk about what yoga is, it is important for me to talk about what it's not. And if you've heard any of my previous talks, this will be a rinse and repeat for you. But, it's often associated with Buddhist and Hindi traditions, which makes people think that yoga is a religion. On day one of yoga teacher training, they teach us that yoga is not a religion. So if that's in your mind, let it go. It's not only for super bendy, skinny women. It's not about looking good. It's about feeling good. So what I teach is a home practice that you can cultivate yourself, and no one will see you. So what does it matter what you look like? It's not about how cool your postures look for Instagram. We're not trying to be Instagram models here. We're trying to live a happier life. It's also not something that you can be good or bad at. And I hear a lot of people say this, right? I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to do yoga. I'm bad at yoga. And I want to be the first one to tell you, if you haven't heard it yet, that the only way to be bad at yoga is to not show up and do yoga. So the actual goal of yoga is to really make you feel more sane. That's why we're here, right? Is that we all want a little bit of sanity back. So the things that I'm going to teach you today are ways to unify the mind and body using your breath as a conduit. So the root of suffering in the mind, particularly when it feels separate from the rest of us. And what I mean by that concept is that you become your thoughts and you become your emotions. What we learn in yoga is to separate those, right? And so that's how it alleviates suffering, because it creates this opportunity for this mind-body connection to be reestablished, but allow you to observe your thoughts as a third party rather than to become your thoughts. So again, I'm all about these why should you cares, right? Because I think it matters that you do care, especially if you've made it this far. You didn't happen upon this by chance. You're here for a reason. So if you want some additional validation, these are all facts pulled from research. Yoga has been proven to improve your psychological and mental well-being. It helps alleviate both anxiety and depression. It boosts memory and it improves concentration, and it reduces the effect of traumatic experiences, which we all have a lot of. So just a few fun facts about yoga. It's the most complimentary used health approach in the US. It wouldn't be true if it didn't work. Yoga is proven to help combat major depression, which is something that we fight all the time. There have been a lot of studies out there just about the path of mindfulness and the path of yoga and what that means for people who are living with anxiety, living with depression, living with lots of different, mental disorders. So you're probably wondering how it correlates to your life, right? So if you have a pen and paper in front of you, I want to play a little game. So I want you to keep track of how many of these things resonate with you as I run through them. So do you worry that, you're your friends and family are going to let you down? Let me do that again. That your friends and family will disown you. Or do you feel like everyone hates you? Maybe you feel angry all the time and you don't really understand why. Or do you wake up fearful of going to work? Do you struggle to process social interactions? It's very common. Are you having trouble sleeping even with your medication? Do you constantly feel like your brain's on overdrive? Do you fight suicidal depression for days or weeks on end? Do you worry about spending all of your money during your next manic episode? Do you self-medicate with alcohol or other drugs? Do you feel like just giving up some days? And do you feel like you're a burden to everyone? So take a little tally there and just, see how many of these 12 things resonate with you. And the good news is, though, that there are some better ways you can manage. So I'm going to explore some shifts you can make here immediately in your life. And these are different than I have explained in other talks that I've given. So stay tuned if you've already sat through one of these. So holding yourself accountable to creating a routine is something I talk about a lot. And you're going to see this in every talk that I get. Our moods are, they shift from one extreme to the other without a lot of warning, right? So routine can help counter these shifts because you're not being hit with surprises left and right that throw you into a spiral. Planning out your day, stabilizing your schedule, it will help reduce some of the uncertainty in your life. So I recommend sitting down one day each week, loosely planning out your schedule with all the things that you need to accomplish to make sure that you're living your life to the fullest. So here's a quick example of what this could look like. First thing you need to do is get a calendar. I actually prefer paper. There's something about the act of writing things down that makes it feel more concrete. It makes me feel more committed. But start with your must-dos, right? So you got to get the kids to soccer practice. You got to go to work. You got to meal prep. You got to do whatever you got to do, right? You got to exercise. You got to do all these things. Now, plan your self-care, right? So try to find an hour a day, small chunks. Maybe it's 4 15-minute chunks, right? Where you're going to plan 15 minutes to meditate, 15 minutes for yoga, 15 minutes for exercise, 15 minutes for reading or journaling, whatever that looks like for you. So this is just an example of a schedule, but you can kind of see how I've planned out my meals to make sure that I remember to eat, how I make sure that I have time for my family, that I've planned for bedtime routine with my kid, that I've planned for my workout and my meditation. I've planned to give myself time to get ready because showering is important and sometimes a struggle. I think the big thing I want to call out here is that you'll notice that there's no time here for mindlessly scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. There's no time here for watching TV or doing things that really don't serve your higher purpose. My recommendation here is to write down what you need to do each day and then make the time to do it and hold yourself accountable, right? You're not always going to have somebody else to lean on. So if you want to make the change, you have to be the one to make the change. All right, so Saucha. So within the 8 limbs of yoga lies the 5 niyamas. Saucha is one of the niyamas, and we're not going to get into what niyamas are and all of that. But Saucha means practicing purity, cleanliness, and clearness. So there are 3 ways that you can immediately start practicing Saucha. 1, shower every day, even when you don't want to, because I know it's hard. Make yourself do it. Keep your home and workspaces neat and tidy. Clutter increases anxiety. So the cleaner you keep your spaces, the less anxious you're going to feel, which will put you less on edge and less likely to spiral. Finally, eat clean. There are a couple reasons for this, but unstable blood sugar can send you into manic episodes. So eating every few hours helps keep your blood sugar stable. It also helps you from getting to keep you from getting so hungry that you overeat and gain weight. There's this whole medication-based weight gain factor that I'm actually getting ready to start studying as well. But if you eat every few hours, you're less hungry, you stabilize your blood sugar, you're less likely to overeat. When you do those things, you are less likely to gain weight from your medication. All right, so we just talked about the niyamas. Now we're going to talk about the yamas. So aparigraha, if you've ever practiced with me previously, you know that I talk about this a lot. So this lies within the yamas, within the 8-limb path of yoga, and it refers to the practice of detaching yourself from the things that control or affect you in a way that's maladaptive to your well-being. So you can practice this by releasing ideas and concepts that no longer serve you. So here's one to chew on. I think we all have these preconceived notions about who we are based on this diagnosis of being bipolar. And right now, just for a moment, I want you to close your eyes and imagine if you just let it go. How does it feel like to not carry that burden anymore? I challenge you to stop letting your diagnosis define you. You have bipolar disorder. You are not bipolar disorder. Right. So pranayama, 4th limb in the 8 limbs of yoga. Pranayama is your breath or your life force. It supports the respiratory system. It decreases the heart rate, can help control panic attacks. Long, steady breaths help keep you in a greater balance. So I want to show you a couple techniques that you can employ. So the first is square or box breathing. So the way this works is that you're going to inhale for a count of 4, retain the breath at the top for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then retain the breath at the bottom for a count of 4. So it's called square or box breathing. It's associated with better sleep, improved heart health. It reduces anxiety and depression. You're going to want to do this for about 10 minutes. I recommend setting a timer so that you're not worried about how long you've been sitting there. It's really powerful at relieving stress and calming down the anxious mind. Breath work also has all of these amazing, life-changing benefits that help you, breathe deeper and live longer. Additionally, it's going to increase the carbon dioxide into your oxygen supply, which improves your blood quality. It elevates your mood. And the aspect of breathing actually increases the pleasure-inducing chemicals in your body. So try this. You can employ this tonight. It's something that I do every day of my life. Set a timer, 5 minutes, and I do this. One more breath technique here. It's called alternate nostril breathing. So the way you perform this is you take 2 fingers, I don't care which 2, place 1 finger on the outside of your right nostril. You're going to inhale through the left, hold the breath at the top, plug the other side, exhale, inhale back up, hold the breath at the top, and then switch. So you're inhaling and exhaling through 1 nostril at a time and holding the breath at the top. It brings balance to your central nervous system and it lowers your stress response. It's calming you down through distraction and giving you a sense of control. It is a breathing technique, but it also has meditative qualities along with it. It's going to slow your heart rate down. It's going to lower your blood pressure, and it's going to deliver a larger supply of oxygen to the brain, which helps soothe the nerves, and it helps still the mind and balance the energy within the body. All right. You'll hear me talk about mindful movement a lot. This is, part of the struggle with a bipolar mind is that you're unaware of how you're behaving or how you're about to behave. So introducing mindful movement is one of the things that you can do that will help translate to off the mat. But again, this takes practice. It's not like you're going to do 1 yoga class and suddenly, be better tomorrow. It takes time. It takes work. But moving mindfully in this full state of awareness in the present moment, right? Because that's where we are. We're living in the now. We're not living in the past. We're not living in the future. We're getting out our yoga mat and we are practicing basic yoga movements synced along with our breath. And the goal here is to focus and concentrate on absolutely nothing but moving your body in an intentional way as you inhale and exhale. So I'm going to give you a couple examples here. So cat-cow pose is a pretty common pose that you're going to see in every class. So there's an image here, but as you inhale, drop your belly, and as you exhale, round your back up into your cat pose. Write these down. We're not going to go through them now. I can try them later. The next is easy pose with a twist. So we're going to inhale, arms rise, and then we're going to exhale into a twist. Inhale, arms rise, twist the other way. So just practice syncing those movements to the breath. Again, set a timer so that you're not looking at a clock. Do this as long as it feels good. Find other postures. It doesn't matter. The goal here is that you are moving in a way that is intentional and married with your breath. That is how we marry the mind and the body. All right. So if you're waiting for the perfect time to make changes, it's never going to come. There's never going to be that perfect time when you have energy to dedicate to yourself. So I want to take a look at how you're doing it now. I like to say that excuses are a part of the past, right? So how many times have you made a choice not to do something because you're bipolar, chosen to lay in bed versus getting up, missed something, a special engagement because you just didn't feel like going, blown up on someone and blamed a mixed or a manic episode? I've done all these things, and frankly, far worse if I go back and reflect. But, I'm telling you today that you don't have to make these excuses if you learn about yourself, understand your triggers. So let's explore a new way. Positive change, it really begins with this awareness of living this mindful and intentional lifestyle where you're focused on you. You can understand your triggers and know when you're close to having a manic or a depressive episode. You're going to have an easier time pulling yourself back to a place of balance. Next. So spiraling into mania and then plummeting into depression, which is basically, I feel like, the cycle of our life, right? So, I'd have a manic episode for days. Work, I was like a tiny tornado, basically fighting everyone that I came in contact with, not listening, always needing to be right, making people feel like legitimately the worst humans on the planet, followed by debilitating depression for what I'd done, right? So, spending all my money on Amazon, wandering the streets in the middle of the night, screaming, crying, simultaneously, or, yelling at everyone. Put in your head what it looks like for you right now when you start to spiral. So let's look at a new way, finding ways to be positive. Once you've learned more about yourself through the practice of yoga, you're going to see that you're far more in control of your attitude and your emotional responses to outside stimuli than you may think you are right now. The brain is really, truly an incredibly powerful tool. Neuroplasty is something that I've been studying relentlessly right now because it's absolutely fascinating how you can truly rewire your brain when it recognizes the need for adaptation. Your brain actually never stops developing, and it can continue to develop and change throughout your entire life. So you aren't stuck. All right. So relying solely on medication, it isn't the best idea. I expected my medication to manage everything like it was some magic pill, right? It helps a lot. I am absolutely a big proponent of being med compliant and taking your meds, but they don't fix everything. So the new way is adding yoga and meditation to your medication regime. Your medication is going to make your highs a little less high, lows a little less low, but there's still this whole squishy area in between of fluctuations in your mood, and you're still unhappy and you still don't understand how you're feeling. That's really where yoga jumps in to take over. All right. Sulking in bed. This exacerbates depression. So this is one thing that if you can will yourself out of it, it's going to immediately help you. I used to spend days on end in bed, crying, wishing it would all be over. I wanted the pain to end. I wanted the discomfort to end. I wanted to end this path of destruction that I was creating, ruining relationships, ruining careers. It was a whole experience that I know you all know something about. But the new way, first, exercise. It's important to get up even when you don't want to, just like it's important to shower even when you don't want to. A couple reasons. One, exercise boosts your endorphins, and endorphins boost your happy. Additionally, that whole weight gain thing, right? So if you're exercising and you're continuing to move, the chances of you gaining weight are slim. Weight gain is a pretty simple formula in that if you don't eat more than you burn, you cannot physiologically gain weight. It's actually humanly impossible. So the technique that I like to teach is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, feet on the floor, put your shoes on, go outside, get some vitamin D, get some fresh air, go for a walk, go for a run, do whatever you need to do until you feel less depressed. This is one of those times where I don't actually recommend getting on your yoga mat. I think it's very hard when you're sitting in a place of stillness and trying to move mindfully. If you're in a state of depression, it's very hard to do that. So go for a walk, go for a run, then come back to your mat and unpack whatever's happening that's sending you into that depression. Lean into those feelings. Try to understand them rather than fight them, because that is so often what we do. We tell ourselves, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. I shouldn't be feeling this way. And we fight that. Lean in, explore the feeling, try to figure out where it's coming from. All right. I've covered a lot. And I'm probably talking very fast because I do that. So I know it's a lot to digest. And it probably feels, like this is a lot to cram into one day. The reality, though, is that these things, when all paired together, are going to make you live a happier life. And I'm telling you that you can do it in an hour or less a day, because I am a person who has worked full-time my entire life, and I can still find an hour a day to make time for myself. So if you have a will, you have a way. So just a quick review of these steps. Plan your day, hold yourself accountable, practice saucha through the purification of the mind and your physical spaces. Practice aparigraha and detaching from things that no longer serve you. Practice pranayama, breath work, to help increase oxygen in the brain and reduce stress. And then practice mindful movement by syncing your breath to your motion. So what we're really talking about here, and I love this so much, is that we're talking about elevating our level of consciousness through yoga philosophy. And I think that Albert Einstein said it best. Again, if you've been to any of my talks before, you know that I love this quote, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. So the concept here that we're unpacking is experiencing love and joy and gratitude. Those emotions have a higher vibrational frequency. So when you raise your own frequency, you're raising your level of consciousness and ultimately transitioning yourself into being a happier person. So now you have a choice to help yourself. Here's how I can help you be the best version of you. I've opened my calendar up in the coming weeks to speak to you personally about how you can start to apply these concepts into your life immediately. I can promise you that whatever your biggest challenges are, I've seen it, I've lived it, I've studied it, and I know how to help manage it. This is for women who are tired of fighting each and every day to feel like themselves, who want to, have a happy and balanced life, a successful career, and manage those ups and downs so that you can get out of bed and go live your life. The cost, it's absolutely free, which makes people ask, why are you doing this? I truly believe that this work can change the world of women living with bipolar people. I have this profound calling to help change the world through yoga. My specialty is in helping women with bipolar disorder. And if I can save even one life with doing these little sessions that I do, it's absolutely worth it to me. So the other thing here is that I know that you may want my help to transform your life. So we can discuss that. If it's a good fit for both of us, then we can explore what that looks like. If not, that's fine too. So if you want to schedule a call, I'm going to drop the link in the comments so you can book directly on my calendar, or you can visit my website, yogaforlivingwithbipolar.com. But I want to leave you with this. I run across 3 kinds of people who want to speak with me. The first want everything for free. They say they want to spend time on themselves, but they really aren't committed. The second want everything as cheap as possible. They don't really understand the value of investing in themselves. They go from coach to coach, from gimmick to gimmick, from thing to thing. They quit often, which is very common with bipolar folks. And as a result, they don't see long-term results. Again, because they aren't fully committed to making this change in their life. The third, these are the real people. And these are the people that I want to work with as I'm expanding my practice. These are the people that are committed to their own healing. They realize that it takes time, effort, energy, resources, and commitment to getting the results that they want to get. They understand that having someone in their corner to push them and to hold them accountable to developing a home practice that serves them is the best way for them to go. So, if you've always known that you were destined for more, destined for a great life, I want to talk to you. And I want you to talk to me. I want to help you create a strategy. And I want you to know that it's absolutely possible to thrive with bipolar disorder and to show up differently and to live the life you want to live. So whether you book a call or not, I hope that you got a tremendous amount of value out of this talk today. I, without a doubt, wish you the very, very best. Much love. Namaste.